Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the video about the philosophy and structure of Rockstar Game Studio. All this can be summarized in one word: formula. According to their formulas, game studios develop their games, creating even very different games such as Skyrim and Fallout, where one game is a survival shooter and the other is a power fantasy game. Game studios often use the same formula. Therefore, looking at Skyrim, you can try to imagine how Test 6 would look like, because the formula is basically the same, with some changes but the same. Though today we will talk, as you have probably read in the title of the video, about Rockstar Studio formula. Rockstar is a very renowned and important studio in the gaming industry. They created the second best-selling game in the history of mankind, GTA 5. By the way, the first place in the list of the best-selling games is occupied by Minecraft. So it seems like Rockstar's formula must be the best in the industry, right? Well, let's find out. I will try to analyze Rockstar games as objectively as possible. So, the Rockstar formula. In order to identify the formula of a particular studio, we need to look at the games that the studio has developed. In our case, since 2013, if we exclude all the re-releases and ports and so on, Rockstar has released two big games, GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2. Roughly speaking, a decade for two games. We will use these games as a basis for analyzing the formula. I don't see any point in looking further into the past. A 10-year period is enough to highlight the common patterns. After playing GTA 5 and RDR2, I came to the conclusion that Rockstar games can be characterized as the games that are trying to bring some sort of theatricality. And this is manifested both in the visuals and in the game design. For example, RDR2. If we are talking about the visual component, it can be seen, well, first of all, in the fact that they added a cinematic mode, and second, in some cutscenes, especially that mission in RDR2 where you gather with the whole gang and go to raid the manor. You park your horses away from the manor, so you can move slowly with the weapons at the ready, showing who is boss. So it's a good staging of scenes from a visual point of view. And the theatricality of the gameplay is about the gameplay. Let me explain what I mean. Although there are not many mechanics in Rockstar games, the developers are always coming with the new ways to use them. For example, robbing trains. In fact, the player does the same thing one always does: shoots. But for the player himself, this is a different situation. He does not shoot on the streets or in the fields, but on a moving train. Or a bank robbery. The player uses the same mechanics of walking, pressing buttons to hit the employees, and shooting at the police. Same mechanics, different situations. The narrative motivation of the player, the characters around him, and the surrounding of a particular mission creates a unique experience for the player, even when he actually uses a limited number of mechanics. That's the theatricality I was talking about. Using different decorations and situations, Rockstar creates this cinematic experience. Now, before we move on, if you reached to this point and you like this video, subscribe to the channel. Here I usually talk about game design in details. Thank you. If we have already started talking about the fact that there are few mechanics in Rockstar games, now let's talk about why there are so few mechanics in Rockstar games. This is partly due to the genre, that is, RDR2 is trying to be realistic. I mean, there is no dragons in RDR2, etc. And although Arthur has his super reflexes, and for example Trevor from GTA has his red mist ability, but still, Rockstar is limited a lot. In fact, those are minor details. It's not just Cause 4, where the main character is equipped with a wingsuit, a jetpack, and a portable rocket launcher, which makes him a living fighter jet, or a twin brother of Starscream Transformer. And there is also an opinion that Rockstar deliberately does not load their games with the mechanics to polish them, so there's less things to break, and the game is polished and bug-free. That's fair. The less mechanics there are, the less things can break, and more time is left to fix all the other bugs. Does it help? Yes, but there are still bugs in Rockstar games. For example, in RDR2 I encountered about 5 visual bugs in one playthrough, where characters were passing through various objects, and even a critical one, where my horse got stuck in the camp between the tents. The horse could not get out on its own, the whistle did not help, and the game does not allow you to climb on a horse in the camp. And on that note, we're slowly approaching the problems and disadvantages of Rockstar formula. Up to this point I mostly praised their formula and talked about pros. Now let's talk about cons. The main issue of their formula, especially in RDR2, is that the developers prioritize their vision of their games and how you must play them over the player's game experience. Let me explain what I mean. Let's analyze the situation with the horse that I described earlier. The developers have made your camp area a zone where Arthur cannot ride a horse. The game forces the character to get off the horse and doesn't let him to get back on. In addition, when you approach the camp, the game slows down the horse, and also slows down the horse, for example, when you reach your destination. That is, the developers prioritize not the player's comfort, but their vision, what they think is better or just more aesthetically pleasing and realistic. The player does not want to slow down because the camp is still far away. The player wants to move around the camp by running, because often the distance the player has to cross is quite long, and sometimes the player could move in both directions around the camp for up to 2 or 3 minutes. 2 or 3 minutes of boring walking. The same is true for the looting of the enemies' bodies. The developers decided that the comfort of the player who wants to quickly search the bodies and play the story is not as important as cinematic lifting of the bodies and the character's cinematics pleasing of the dead body. Moreover, Rockstar does not even trust the player to ride a horse. The game is constantly trying to adjust the player's route. That is, when your character sits in the saddle, there are 2 riders, you as a player, and the dirty, nasty hand of Rockstar, which constantly interferes with the process and wants you to go only along a predetermined route. And when you meet any obstacle on your way, like a stone, you as a player, for example, want to go around the stone on the right, and the Rockstar hand wants you to go around the stone on the left. And the horse says,
excuse me, what the actual fuck?
And what happens next? You crash into the stone and fly out of the saddle. Sometimes it also kills the horse. If you hold down the W key and don't touch ASD keys, you only follow the route of the Rockstar hand. But if you think that in this case you will not crash into anything, you are mistaken. Because any moving obstacles, whether it's your friend riding next to you or a wagon driving in front of you, confuses the Rockstar hand, and accidents are not rare. That is, no matter what you do, you will crash and fall, and all because of Rockstar. Another issue of Rockstar formula stems from the advantage we have already mentioned. Remember, I was talking about theatricality. Rockstar literally puts on a performance, like in a theater. On the one hand, this is pros, because it puts the player in different situations and adds variety. But on the other hand, Rockstar do not like it when their performance go wrong, and they punish the player when they do something that on their opinion should not happen. For example, at the beginning of the game, Arthur has to protect the gang girl that is being threatened by another man. So Arthur threatens the man. The dialogue takes some time, and I thought that maybe the man didn't get enough arguments. The control was not taken away from me, so I pulled out my revolver and fired. Not at the man, but in the air. Instead of the man being scared, run away, and immediately releasing the girl, the mission failed. And then the loading screen and restarting the mission. Yes, it was me who took the initiative, But sometimes this may happen by accident. I accidentally shot, or accidentally point my gun, or accidentally hit a person lightly with a wagon. The person did not die, just fell on the ground, and the whole mission failed. The loading screen start over. But did you have to fail these missions because of such insignificant, small miscalculations? Here is an example from the game Hogwarts Legacy. As soon as we are given the opportunity to use our wand, it is absolutely logical that the player will start shooting in all directions. Even though the player is going through the story, the game, unlike Rockstar games, does not fail the mission. On the contrary, the developers have deliberately left a bunch of features that the player can smash. Because it's okay when the player does what he wants. Of course, it's not realistic or cinematic, but by forbidding the player to do whatever he wants, first of all, you prevent the player's impulsive desires, which means the player has no control over the character. This means that the player's immersion break. And secondly, is it realistic to see the loading screen every time the player accidentally pressed the wrong button? For me, the answer is obvious. And so, the last annoying thing in the video shows how much Rockstar does not care about your gaming experience. Often, in RDR2, the game removes equipment from your character without your consent. Sometimes it's due to a mission, where you just can't be armed to the teeth, because it can alert characters around you. Of course, after these events, the game do not equip your weapon back, and you can then go on another mission and only then realize that you have nothing but pistols on you. Sometimes the game disarms you just for fun at the beginning of a mission, and you have to manually select your weapons. Of course, if you don't forget to do it. If not, you'll go on a mission with only pistols. There are also frequent situations when the game itself chooses which weapon will you take with you. So before the start of the mission, you are equipped with normal weapons. After the start of the mission, the game chooses you absolute junk. I had situations where the game chose me only a bow, a shotgun and pistols. That's it? No weapons for long distance. Or sometimes vice versa. Shotgun, a sniper rifle that can only be fired with a scope. That's it, no medium-range weapons. Because again, Rockstar believe that they know better how you should play the game. So, let's move on to the structure of the quests and the structure of Rockstar games. Both games, GTA 5 and RDR2, are open world games. You complete these games by completing quests. You travel across a large open world, from point A to point B, to start a mission. I would like to quickly note that the RDR2 loses a lot in this regard to GTA 5. Because it is much more pleasant to drive in a car, and in general, there is a large selection of cars, and they act differently. And the horses in RDR2 are like horses. One horse is like another. I didn't feel any difference. Now, let's get back to the point. So the main missions are spread across the map. You complete them, they're well staged. That's what we were talking about theatricality and situations. But outside those missions, Rockstar have placed a bunch of activities, and they are of low quality. The legendary Rockstar Studio do not shy away from filling their games with junk activities. For example, in GTA 5 a running mission, or in RDR2 collecting herbs or pulling down wanted posters. These quests are absolutely generic and not interesting. It's good that these quests are optional, but the question arises as to why such an eminent studio added them in the first place. In general, because of this, the structure of Rockstar games is almost linear. You can choose which of the main quests you want to complete first and which one second. No, it's not bad, but it's a very simple structure. Of course, I understand why people like these games. I'm not trying to offend Rockstar fans in any way. Rockstar really tries to make good games, but their formula isn't perfect by any means. And at last, what can we expect from Rockstar in regards to GTA 5, considering all of that?
What is my prediction? Will it be a good game? I mean, the hype about the game is real. My prediction is that it will be a game like RDR2. The majority of the gamers will really like this game, but some, a smaller group of gamers, will be disappointed because the expectation for this game are really high. The problem is that I don't see any reason why and how Rockstar will fill their game with more mechanics. I don't see how Rockstar can improve the gameplay. So even though the player experience will be probably on a high level, because animation quality, gunplay and driving will probably get better, the gameplay experience in general might not be super diverse. However, I think that the majority of the players will not mind that at all. Now, thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Share this video with your grandma so that she'd also know what Rockstar formula is. Now, eat your vegetables and don't be naughty. See you later.